With the fourth pick in the 2021 NBA Draft, the Toronto Raptors select Scottie Barnes from Florida State University.
Wow.
Look at that.
Wow.
This is what draft night is all about.
Win championships with Toronto. He can be that type of player to build.
I think he can. He's a culture driver. He's going to change your locker room from day one.
Draft night is always an exciting time. Welcome back to Raptors Today. Sherman Hamilton alongside myself, Savanna Hamilton. We're going to break down the draft, of course, but first things first, our colleagues actually had an instant reaction last night, so we're going to take a quick listen to that.
The pick is in. The Toronto Raptors have selected Scottie Barnes from Florida State with the fourth overall pick in the 2021 NBA Draft. A special night for him and an exciting night for the team and the fans. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Draft Night show. I'm Randy Urban, and it's a pleasure to be joined by the voices of the Raptors, Matt Devlin, Paul Jones, and Leo Routens. Let's get started with the pick, guys. Matt, I'm going to start with you. What's your reaction to the Raptors picking Scottie Barnes?
When you start thinking about the Raptors and the need of length and the need on the wings, the need of the versatility, being able to play multiple positions, to me, Scottie Barnes fills that, right? And so that, along with Jalen Suggs, is a phenomenal athlete. We know that. Quarterback in Minnesota, had an opportunity to go a lot of different directions. But, you know, the Raptors have Fred VanVleet and Malachi Flynn. So this doesn't surprise me at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, Leo, you predicted this.
Matt and I were having a conversation. And, to me, and Matty agreed that, he was a logical guy to look at based on who the Raptors are, what the Raptors are trying to do, and how they want to play. Hey, the Raptors have guards, and they have smaller guards. Yeah, Suggs isn't small, but he's just another guy that kind of would fit into that. Whereas when you look at Scottie Barnes, you're talking about a 6'8", 6'9", guy that can play above the rim, the guy that can run the floor, he can get in the lanes. He could literally guard in today's NBA all five positions on the floor. He handles the basketball. He'll play the point guard. He sees the floor extremely well. And this is a Leonard Hamilton product. And every guy that comes out of Florida State, for some reason, and you got to think that Leonard Hamilton does, a great job at finding these guys, preparing these guys, and developing these guys for the NBA, because they come in and these guys are ready to go. They contribute, and they contribute off the bench. They contribute in larger roles. And so Scottie Barnes is a player that I think gives the Raptors another dimension, something that they really haven't had with the small guards, a guy with tremendous size that I think is hungry. I think this guy is going to come in and do some great things. So I think it's an exciting pick, but certainly, as Matt and I said, not a surprising one.
Jonesy, were you surprised? What did you think about the pick?
No, we kind of joke that every year somebody goes off the prescribed or the conventional script and breaks the draft, and Masai did it early. And listen, we've seen Toronto do this before, opting for length. We know how badly they wanted Giannis and thought they had him, stored away years and years ago. I hear the name Scotty, and Leo and Matt talked about it, the length, being able to guard any position on the floor, the playmaking ability, the versatility. Look, it's a long way from another Scotty, some guy that won 6 championships, but you think about it, back in those days, that was the start of it, when a guy like Scottie Pippen was guarding a Reggie Miller. That was kind of unconventional. You're putting a 6'8" guy on a point guard. Well, hey, look at what we've come to in the NBA right now. And you look at Scottie Barnes, and people will say, well, he doesn't shoot it that well. Hey, man, give me a kid that does all those things. I'll take his backside in the gym and work with him and drill him. And I'll get a shooter. I'll make him a shooter. And I will have a complete player before anybody else that has a guy who plays strictly offense or plays strictly one way, doesn't see the floor, doesn't contribute at the defensive end. Give me that guy with the little thing that people say, well, he doesn't shoot it well. I can work on that. We'll fix that. So I like this. I like the pick for the length. I like the pick for the character that comes out of the Florida State program. And again, Matt and Leo talked about the stature, the fact that it's still a premium on big people and big skilled people. And I think the Raptors got a good one there.
Let me add this, and Jonesy and Leo have been bang on with this. In today's NBA, you have to be able to be versatile defensively. We've seen this with Nick Nurse, right? So, okay, he's got to get a better shooting percentage from three, 27%. We understand that. He's a 62% free throw shooter. Okay, we understand that. We also understand what the Raptors have done with respect to players and development. But as all of us know who cover this team, if you guard, you're going to play, right? And so he can guard. And to me, all of a sudden, it's really intriguing when you think about the combinations that you can go with and the length that you can play with, because as we know, that was something that the Raptors didn't necessarily have last season, right? And so when you add this one player, now the combination with OG and Pascal, and all of a sudden things kind of get very intriguing defensively. And then when the Raptors are at their best, as we know, over the course of the last 3 seasons, what do? They turn you over, they run. They average big points off of that. They get easy offense. And this is somebody, to me, and certainly by the sounds of it from Jonesy and Leo, that fits right into that. And then Jimmy Sand, the development piece is there, right? He is there working with the players. And so I wouldn't be, if I'm a fan, I wouldn't be worried about 62%, 27%, all that sort of stuff. This is somebody that's going to be able to come in and provide some different looks. And I think that's really important.
I bet you the percentage when you turn people over and you get out and run and you got 3-on-1s, 4-on-1s, 1-on-0s. I bet you the percentage on layups is pretty high there. So I'll
guys,
take that.
We talk about a development. You got to assume that the Raptors scouting and practices, practicing coaches, everybody, they're looking at a guy. They're not saying, "Oh man, no, we can't fix that. We can't help that." Otherwise, they wouldn't be touching this guy. They're looking at this guy saying, "Okay, all right, yeah, we can do some work here." They're evaluating. They know his deficiencies, and so they wouldn't be touching him if they didn't feel they could work with that.
And you're going to get character, and you're going to get work ethic, and you're going to get somebody who plays a team game. So the Raptors are looking at all of that and say, "Yeah, we want that." And as you said, that kind of falls into your lap. You see it. And the more you see, that the good stuff, the more you look at what you can, quote, fix and go ahead and fix it. I like it. And listen, Matt, you talked about you put 3 guys on the court there with Pascal and, when he's healthy, OG, you're switching everything. Guys can play and it's not an issue. And then, we don't have
Jonesy, not only are you switching, but you're switching without risk.
With none at all. No risk at all.
That's a big deal.
No risk at all. Because now in the NBA, some of the switching produces issues that you now all of a sudden have to cover up for.
100%.
You get it. Look at the wings with OG and a Scottie Barnes who can guard. That's where your most dynamic players are. Perimeter play is what it's all about, and that's the stuff that you got to look after. And I like what the potential that the kid has to do that.
But Leo, just with that all being said, there is a learning curve when you get to the NBA, and some of it is steeper than others. And obviously, when you have the development team that the Raptors have, sort of tweaking that shot and turning him into a pro is not something that they're not capable of. They've done it, right? They've done it with Pascal Siakam. They've done it with other guys in the past. But since you predicted this pick, how much of an impact do you predict he'll make?
I think he's going to make an impact. And again, that there is a learning curve. And again, where did you get him from? You got him from a place that for some reason, and you got to give Leonard Hamilton a lot of credit, like Jonesy said, these guys come NBA ready. And you look at the contributions, players have made out of Florida State, especially in recent years, they're ready. They do a lot of good things on the floor. So that's part of your learning curve. Where are you coming from? Right? What preparation are you bringing to the table? By all accounts, this kid's a worker. This kid gets after it. He wants to play. He wants to be good. And you're going to have a different environment for the Toronto Raptors now. Now you're going to have your summer league back. You're going to have, if you need it, you have your G League, which is right down the street in Mississauga. You're going to have that available to you, which was such an asset for Fred, for Pascal, OG, all these guys, Norm when he was with Toronto. So I think all the pieces are there, but I think he's a player that you're going to see, I think, brought into the fold very, very quickly. And a lot of it's going to be on him. If he shows that Florida State dedication, gets in the gym, is working on a jump shot, takes care of the little things, I think we're going to see him make a contribution bigger and quicker than a lot of people might anticipate.
And you can do that from a defensive standpoint, Randy. Sorry to jump. Defensively, there are coverage-wise, but yet your length is going to make up for that. And we mentioned, obviously, putting him with OG and you put him with Pascal and the length. And imagine Chris Boucher on the floor as well, and the ability to run and stretch the floor. And you have Fred VanVleet. I mean, so there's so many different combinations. We know how creative Nick Nurse is. So to me, I was talking with somebody the other day, and, they said, the Raptors really liked Mobley. And if it's not Mobley, then it's Suggs. And anytime you hear all the things out there and you hear different things and people are saying this is a lock and this is, well, you know what? We've been around Masai Ujiri long enough to know that no, right? There is no leaks in the organization. Nobody really knows what they're looking at. They do not a good job of that. They do the best job in the NBA at that. And so, I think that, taking Scottie Barnes, to me, I'm not surprised because what the roster is, a need, but then you also understand Bobby and Masai and Nick Nurse. So not really surprised.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. That is going to be one scary lineup to match up against with Pascal, OG, and now Scottie Barnes. I don't know how you penetrate that, but I got to stop you there, guys. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it as always. Just to recap, the Raptors have chosen with the 4th overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft, Scottie Barnes from Florida State. It's going to be fun. Stick to Raptors.com.
Leo predicted it. Leo was all over it.
All right, that was our draft night show. Now it's time to turn it back to Savanna Hamilton and Sherman Hamilton.
Well, they had some great points there, Sherm, Randy, Leo, Matt, and of course, Paul Jones, who's normally here with us on Raptors Today, but he's busy today. I really liked what they had to say, especially just bouncing off of what Matt Devlin mentioned about, don't focus too much on the stat sheet right now with this pick. If you could guard, you could play. And you can't teach height and you can't teach length. We're looking at a player who is 6'9" with a 7'2" wingspan. He has the body of a power forward, but he has played point guard at Florida State before. And so that's something that speaks out to me. I've done my research, obviously, and people are comparing him to a Draymond Green. But honestly, I think they're underselling him a little bit. And the fact that if you look a little deeper, his passing ability is really strong. I saw that he had some great court vision on a couple of plays there. But, Sherm, I would love to hear your thoughts on what you think of our new pick, Scottie Barnes.
Well, Sav, I like the pick. And I think when you think about this player from a defensive perspective, Scottie has the length you talked about. He has the athleticism. He has all the ranginess you want in a defensive player who can impact all 5 positions. And the guys touched on it, the ability to switch, because we look across the NBA, that is the defensive scheme for the majority of teams. They want to switch, but they want to switch with size and length. And Scottie can help them do that. The other side of it is this is a guy who wants to play defense. You hear all the things he says about not being afraid of anybody and knowing that he can defend anybody. This is a guy who had 35 steals in college. I mean, this is a guy who gets after it on that end of the floor. Another thing the guys touched on, Sav, is offensive numbers aren't great. I've always said this. When you roll a ball out in the gym, the first thing guys do is shoot it. Dribble it and shoot it. They don't go work on their defense. They don't do slides and stuff like that. They want to shoot and dribble the ball. Well, guess what? he's going to figure out, and the Raptors developmental staff, as we've talked about, have been phenomenal in developing talent. Remember when Norm Powell came to the Raptors, his shot didn't look good at all. How did he leave? As a very good three-point shooter and a confident shooter. So there's no doubt in my mind that they can do that for Scotty as well. But I just like all the elements and dimensions of him. And Leonard Hamilton, as you know, he coaches players and he coaches them hard, but he also recruits a certain kind of player who's got that toughness to them, that intestinal fortitude. So I just think that he's going to fit perfectly into what these guys want to do. And Leo mentioned it. The Raptors have size at the point guard spot with him being there. His versatility and his length and being able to handle the basketball is something that they haven't had at that size at the point guard spot. But maybe Leonard Hamilton has it all figured out. I think it's in the last name, Sav. You should know about that.
I was just going to say there's something special about that last name Hamilton or something like that. But I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table and just his excitement to come to Toronto already. That speaks volumes. You know, he's a passionate player. You can tell he's going to leave it all on the court. At least we'll see what happens there. But one more thing.
And Sav, remember, his father's Jamaican.
Yes.
So he's coming into a city where there's a great Jamaican culture.
Hamilton, Jamaican.
All of it. It's all in there. Come on, Scotty.
The recipe for success. Okay, let's hear from Scotty Barnes himself as well as Nick Nurse.
I feel like I fit very well with the Raptors. Just taking from the defensive mindset that they just bring to the table each and every night. That was really a huge standpoint when I went on my pre-workout visit to the Raptors. That was a really big thing to them. Was the defensive mindset stepping into the game. They really like to crush people and set their tone defensively. When I'm on the court, I really just try to play basketball the right way. When I see things open, I hit them right away. I don't really put into a mindset that I'm about to score right here, score this way. I really just play the game the right way. When things come to my head, that's what I really just do. I'm really playing the game the right way, really trying to win. So I take every possession. That was one of the huge things going into college basketball, that every possession matters. Can't take off full possession because that can come a huge way. I don't back down for nobody. It's about how tough you are, whatever you're willing to do. I'm willing to do those things. I'm pretty tough on the floor. I have a grit when I'm on the floor. I'm not going to get bullied. I sit on defense. I pick up full court. I guard the ones, the twos, the threes. I take pride in that stuff. So I am going to say I'm one of those guys that can guard 1 through 5 for sure.
I think he's a kind of a multifaceted, multi-positional, two-way player. Doug, I mean, I think you know we talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
We want two-way guys and be able to guys that are versatile, and I think he's all of that, and he's young and excited, man. I liked him, got to know him a little bit, all those kind of things, and it's a great pick for us. Yeah, I believe so. I mean, I think that I think he has a desire to be really good, Ryan, and I think any of our guys, you know, again, I'll keep talking about our two guys, OG and Pascal. I think those guys both had the desire to work and learn and improve and have done so and continue to do so in the shooting department. So we'll try to get Scotty in on that, but he's already looking forward to that and talking about that. He's pretty coachable young guy, I think, from what I can tell so far.
Now, Sherm, the draft didn't just end with Scotty Barnes. No, there was 2 more picks, late second round. And, you know, the Raptors made some selections. They got Dalano, Banton, as well as David Johnson. Tell me about Banton. What do you like about him?
Well, first of all, he's the first Canadian to be drafted by the Raptors. And, you know, it's a special moment for the young guy. But this is a guy who we've seen in the Steel game. He understands who he is. And, you know, after transferring, one of the things that happens is you got to sit out sometimes. And you look at him having to sit out, having to grow in and having that redshirt year to develop. And now you look at him and you're saying, this is a kid who understands. He didn't come in as this all 5-star recruit. He came in as a guy who's got to work for it the whole time. And his story is very good. And I think when you get a player like that who's drafted in the second round, who was maybe on the fringe of making the NBA and didn't have outstanding numbers in college, there's something there. There's something about a player like that this organization has done a great job of really sourcing and figuring out what's made this kid successful to this point. So as we've seen many times with the Raptors in terms of second round picks, as well as players that come undrafted, they do a great job of picking the right quality of players, both on and off the court, that they can develop, that they can nurture, and they can have success with. And I think Dalano Banton is going to have a chance to do that in this organization. But, Sav, as you know, there was another pick, the 47th pick. So what do you think about David Johnson?
Yeah, well, you mentioned it. There's something about the second round that I personally do get excited about because we're watching the diamonds in the rough here. We're watching the overlooked stars. And oftentimes, how many times is it, you just didn't get enough playing time on the court. You didn't have that moment to really shine in front of the right eyes at the right time. There's an element to basketball that comes down to a little bit of luck at times. So when we talk about the second round, I'm excited because David Johnson is one of those guys that I think he kind of just needs that opportunity. He's 6'5". He's currently listed as a point guard, but I think he could play a little bit of a shooting guard as well. 20 years old out of Louisville. As you can see, he's scoring 12 points per game. I feel like this is a to be determined type of pick, but I'm excited because within the Raptors system, how much development have we seen? Like a Norm Powell, like a DeJuan Hernandez, who maybe came as a bit more of a niche player, but did still find minutes there. So always some unexpected gems coming out of the second round. But let's turn to Bobby Webster to see what he had to say about the draft.
Yeah, I think for all the Canadians, this is a perfect example of why you have BioSteel. I think that's the first time I saw the kid play, right? We all watched him there and have continued to follow him. Obviously, all the Canadian talent to draft the first Canadian kid. I'm sure it was cool for all of us to hear on the broadcast. Toronto Raptors select Dalano Banton from Toronto, right? That'll probably go down for a while, but no, really talented. A bit of a roundabout way for him, and that's never deterred us in the past. We think he's talented. We think he's big. He plays a little point guard. He sees the floor really well. He can rebound really well. He was invited to the G League camp this year in Chicago. Didn't make it to the NBA camp, but maybe that was a benefit to us. Local kid. I think Rexdale. So shout out to Rexdale. I'm sure they're all really excited for him. And we'll see what he can do. We have Summer League in a week. He needs to work on his body. He needs to get stronger. He needs to, continue his shooting and his skill development. But at his size and playmaking and rebounding, I think we feel like there's a profile of a kid that can make it.
This draft class was very exciting, and you could catch them playing in the Summer League. Toronto versus New York, August 8th at 4:30 p.m. Keep tuned into NBA TV Canada, of course, because we'll always have you covered in some way or another. But of course, we got to go. Sherm, do you have any final thoughts just before we wrap?
Hey, we're going into Summer League. Exciting time for these young players. So we're going to get a chance to see them, a good early look at what they can do.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Raptors Today.